John Ross, a British scholar, was the economic advisor to Ken Livingstone when he was mayor of London. He has also spent many years studying the economy of China.
I've been writing about China's economy for more than 20 years.
Ross is now a senior fellow at Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China. His views on China's economy and development have attracted wide attention, and he has more than 270,000 fans on Weibo, the Chinese version of Twitter.
With China beginning to become a factor in the situation, certainly, but not dominating the situation.
With the motive of the APEC meeting, we decided to invite him to our studio. So it's been 13 years since China last hosted APEC meetings in Shanghai that year. What has changed in the role of China in this region?
Well, a tremendous amount. I mean, China is now the second largest economy in the world after the United States if you take it at market prices. And if you calculate it at parity purchasing powers, which most Western economists would prefer to do, it's actually the largest economy in the world. If we go back 13 years ago, really the AsiaPacific region was dominated by the relationship between the United States and Japan, with China beginning to become a factor in the situation, certainly, but not dominating the situation. Now everybody knows that really the most important discussions are the discussions that will take place between the United States and China. So this is a quite dramatic change in the situation.
And what do you see are the most difficult challenges ahead if this region wants to improve their connectivity?
I don't think the biggest problems are going to be the technical problems. I think the biggest problem for developing free trade in the area is the very, very different levels of economic development of the different countries. If you take Europe, a free trade area is greatly facilitated by the fact that the economies, they're not at exactly the same level of development, but they're at very comparable levels of development. But if you take the Southeast Asian region, you have on the one hand, one extreme Singapore, whose GDP per capita is higher than the United States. And then you also have, Cambodia or Laos or something, which are very poor countries. So I think the main problems aren't going to be what you might call the infrastructure ones. I think they're going to be how to knit together the different levels of development. For that reason, I think the free trade region will go forward, but it won't necessarily go forward extremely fast, nor in an even way. If you take, for example, bilateral relations, there's a lot of potential, for example, between China and South Korea, because China's not at South Korea's level of development, but it's beginning to get up to that type of level. So I expect both general forward development on free trade on a multilateral basis, but also quite a lot of bilateral relations taking place.
Then what about the importance of understanding global value chains? What is it exactly? Can you give us a specific example?
Well, you can put it very well, right? I mean, the China used to produce low value-added products. It was the world's dominant producer of toys, for example. At one point, the majority of the world's toys were manufactured in China. It produced textiles. These are industries which rely above all on low wages. China's strength is shown, however, in its great manufacturing skill and the fact that a large part of the value chain is in the country. A very famous example was Apple. If you take the world's most successful consumer product, which is the iPhone, it almost had a disaster because it's not known, but it's scratched. The original screen was plastic and scratched, and Steve Jobs had to have an emergency meeting in order to get the thing redesigned within 6 weeks. And there's very nice stories. Immediately somebody got on a plane to go to Shenzhen, because the only place in the world that could switch over from a plastic screen to a glass screen within 6 weeks was in China. It would only take, if you paid American wages, it would only add about $65 to the price of an iPhone to manufacture it in the United States. But the United States simply cannot match anymore the flexibility and the scale of Chinese manufacturing. So China's therefore decisively moved up the value chain. In medium level value products, China still can't compete at the very, very top end of the value chain, but it's decisively now in the middle part of the value chain. So it's huge progress. If we go back to the 13 years ago, the APEC, China was a low-cost manufacturer. Now it's a medium technology giant.
Personally, do you believe in the rise of China?
Yes, I think that the development of China's economy is the most important economic development that's ever taken place in world history. And I'm a student of economic history, so I know this. No country has ever experienced such rapid growth for such a long period of time. And never has anything approaching the number of people's lives been so transformed in China. Let me give you a comparison. When the US began rapid economic growth just after the Civil War, the US accounted for 3% of the world's population. The second time we had a country which had dramatic economic development affecting a large number of people, which was the Soviet Union, that was 8% of the world's population. China is 19% of the world's population. Never has so much economic development affected so many people so rapidly. Again, let me give another number. If you take World Bank statistics for 2 years ago, the percentage of the world's population living in high-income economies by World Bank standards was 16% of the world's population. But China by itself is 19% of the world's population. It'll probably be a little bit more. It's probably 19% for China and 19% for the rest by now. But that means that China becoming a high-income economy, which by World Bank standards will take place within the next 10 years, will double the number of people living in high-income economies in the world. This is to totally transform the world situation.
Thank you very much, Professor Ross. And stay tuned to CNC World for more news on the ongoing Asia-Pacific Economic Forum here in Beijing.